Hi, everyone. It's Sergeant Rajan with the Uniform Recruitment Unit, and I want to thank you for joining us on another session of AMA Wednesdays. We're coming to the end of January, and I have a very special guest here with me. I have Inspector Edie of the Provincial Police Academy, and we're going to dive into a lot of questions that we get from you about what the training is all about, and also we're going to talk about a new training schedule that we will be transitioning our recruits to. So we're gonna have Inspector Edie talk about all that. But officially, Inspector, welcome to the AMA. How are you doing today?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's not every day. Obviously, we get a chance to kind of have you on our AMA. So I'm really, really happy that you're able to kind of make some time for us to answer some of the questions as we wait for people to chime in and ask, the questions they want to know. A bit about you. I know there's a lot of things that you probably have done throughout your career with the OPP. So maybe even if you can start off by giving us a kind of bit on why you chose policing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I probably told a career advisor when I was 11 years old that I wanted to be a police officer. So I decided quite early on that that's what I wanted to do. But I've always had a very strong pull to public safety. My grandfather was a police officer. A lot of my family served in the military. So I've always had that desire to protect victims. And the best way to do it is, to be frank, through policing.
So I know you. I don't know the exact number of years that you've been with the OPP. I know it's been quite some time. So you probably had a lot of chance or opportunity to work in different units. Anything that really sticks out to you from some of the units or specialties that you worked in?
Yeah, so I've been with the OPP for 16 years. I've actually got 25 years in policing. My favorite job in policing, no matter where I was always frontline. I spent about 15 years as a frontline police officer pushing a cruiser around. And that's across the board. I did it over in the UK, Toronto, went up to Red Lake, served a fair amount of time in Pekanjikam. I came down, went to Southern Georgian Bay, and this whole time I did various other roles. I was a public order officer. I was a SOCO. I was a breath tech. So I did a lot of the road things there.
Right.
And then I went into forensics. So I spent 8 years in forensics out of the Aurelia location. Got qualified as a shooting trajectory reconstructionist. So I spent a lot of time flying around the province, going to various shooting scenes, it's a fantastic experience that you don't get anywhere else. Having been in other police services, the chance to jump on the plane or in a helicopter and go somewhere else it's just wonderful. So from there, I actually went back to the frontline, Prash. So I spent 8 years in forensics, got promoted to staff sergeant, and then I went back to Aurelia detachment as an operations manager. And it was a wonderful 2.5 years, busy detachment, always something different. And that's the great thing about policing. You go in, it's going to be something different 1 minute to the next. Then I spent a lot of time training, both in forensics and at detachment. So when I got promoted, I came over here to the Provincial Police Academy to train our next generation of new recruits.
How are you finding your time in the academy side now? Because we as a recruitment unit, we go through the process of making sure they're ready to attend academy, and then when they fall in your hands now, maybe you can kind of give us a glimpse, because we never get to hear your side of it as to what you see.
So we take the raw product that you give us, Prash, and we now have to mold them into being a police officer.
Right.
So we're not a military organization, but we do have rules. We have standards.
Right.
You have to look the part. Your uniform has to be good. The way you hold yourself, because we represent the OPP, we represent policing in Canada. So you have to have that very professional image, and that's what we instill in our new recruits. The professionalism, the work ethic, the drive to serve the public. And then, of course, there's all the rules. There's the firearms, there's use of force training, there's all the interviewing techniques that you gotta learn, and writing notes, writing reports. So it's a very involved process that we take. And even when they leave here, at the end of all their training, the training never stops. And in fact, my training hasn't stopped in 25 years of policing.
Yeah, I believe you. As you were mentioning that, it kind of took me back to my time at the academy and also at OPC. So, which is still some things that I use today. When I was actually at the CAF here at JHU, I saw the new class that I think came back from OPC, and I know we have a class at OPC right now going into 3rd and 4th week, I believe. So they're getting ready for their transition. And you actually were at our in-person general information session, and a lot of questions. You fielded a lot of questions about the new transition and the new timeline and the rationale behind the change to the training. Maybe you can touch on that a little bit, Inspector.
Yeah, absolutely. So we did in the OPP many years ago. We had a 2-part program post the Ontario Police College, and we are going back to that. So I'll go into some of the reasons why, but a lot of it comes down to adult education techniques. And for those of you who've sat in a lecture that's lasted too long or sat on a course that's gone too long, there comes a certain point where the value of the learning diminishes. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to give our new officers the skills they need to go out on the road. Then once they're out there, they can learn, they can actually get experiences doing the job. Because unless you've experienced someone in crisis, unless you've experienced helping someone, dealing with someone who's in a domestic violence situation, dealing with drunks, dealing with violence, all the way through to helping people in some of the better times of their lives when they need you.
Right.
You don't have that frame of reference. So what we're trying to do is get them back out there, and then when they come back here, we give them that frame of reference. So initial parts are still the same. Right. So you still come lined up in front of O'Grady Hall over the road here from headquarters, and we give you the lay of the land and how the next couple of weeks are going to go and our expectations from you as a new recruit. So that lasts 2 weeks. It's 8 days of getting your gear, getting access to things, getting your new cell phone, learning some of the rules that we have, getting some basic note-taking training. Then you start your online training. So there are 3 weeks of online training. Our recruits, for the first 3 days, we have them here. We don't send you home with a computer and go, enjoy and hope you can get online. We have you here. We make sure that everyone is set up and that you know what you're doing. And then you go home for 3 weeks. But in that 3 weeks, you are doing online training. So you're learning some of the basic modules through OPC, the Ontario Provincial Police College, Police College, and you do an exam. Then after that, you report down to OPC, and that's where you have your 10 weeks of training. Again, it's still the same. It's still firearms. It's still police vehicle operations. It's learning about federal statutes. It's learning about provincial statutes. It's learning how to talk to people, communicate, how the use of force wheel works. So all the things that you and I went through, perhaps that hasn't changed, right? So we still do that down there. It's the post where now things start to change. So historically, we did 8 weeks. And as you can imagine, you've just done 15 weeks of training. Now we're bringing you back here for another 8 weeks. It's a lot of training in one go. But we still need to make sure that when you're out on the road, you still have those skills that you can function as a police officer with your coach. So post OPC is now 6 weeks long. So we've taken 2 weeks of that off. So a lot of it is practical. It's judgment-based training. It's a lot of scenarios, going through making sure that you can protect yourself, you can protect your partner, and you can protect the public when you go out there. So you do that. At the end of this, there's the big graduation. You get your badge. That doesn't change. You're still sworn in as a police officer. Then you're going to go out with your coach officer on the road. And we all remember our coach officer. You turn up that first day and you hope that you're going to get along with them, but you turn up and now we're sending you out with your coach officer for 13 weeks. So that's 13 weeks where now you're going to get a grounding in what actually happens to you as a police officer, the types of calls you go to, the types of people you meet, the paperwork that you have to do, the investigations that you have to run. So now you have real world experience of these are the things I now have to do. So when we bring you back after 13 weeks, we bring you back for 4 weeks. And in that 4 weeks, we're going to give you intimate partner violence training because now you've seen that. You've seen how important it is for you to document those red flags that you see, that you help the person, that you interview everyone involved, and that you make sure that this investigation is done properly. We then put you through SFST training, which is standard field sobriety testing. So this is you being able to look at a driver of a motor vehicle and then put them through a series of tests to determine if they're impaired by drug or alcohol, if you don't have enough to just do the straight impaired. Because now you have that experience of stopping that drink driver, stopping the person who potentially is on drugs, and now you can relate it right back to your training. Then we put you through intro to interviewing, and then a few more courses. There'll be some basic scenarios, but most of it now is geared towards increasing your skill set, upskilling your training back here at the PPA, now that you have that real world experience.
And Inspector, I'm just going to jump in here. Somebody from England says hello to you as they're listening to you chat here. So I'm going to try to recap what you said, Inspector, and I think you broke it down really, really well. So you have the pre-OPC, which is the 8-day portion when you initially report to Academy. Then you have the 13 weeks, of which 3 weeks is virtual, and the other 10 weeks you're physically reporting to the Ontario Police College. And then now, this is where it's kind of changed for us moving forward. Just like myself, I was part of the old system there. Like moving forward now, post OPC will start at 6 weeks. And then once that training is done, you'll report for the 13 weeks of detachment training with your coach officer. And then you'll come back for the 4 weeks. And I know a lot of questions were being asked even at our information sessions, and I'm sure you fielded it. When you made this, transition, or you felt this was a good way for our recruits to go through or go in terms of training, like what were some of the things that you considered in terms of how this will benefit them as recruits?
So we did do a number of, I guess we could call them trials within region. So regions were actually bringing back recruits when they had about 2 months on, bringing them back, and it started as a 3-day workshop. It then progressed to a 5-day workshop with scenario-based training, upskilling, and the feedback that came back from the recruits was that it was incredibly beneficial. Right? So now they were able to have these conversations and say, well, this happened to me. Like now in hindsight, I may have done this, or I learned this on the road, and they now give that to their classmates. And there's great discussion because they have something to relate it to. So it then progressed to this part A, part B, but we're not the only ones doing it. So Ottawa Police has used a model where they can, the new recruits complete initial training, transition back to their placements, then they come back for additional instruction, and this cycle repeats itself several times. York Region, very similar as well, classification training, and then they come back annually for upskilling. I myself, 25 years ago, went through a system in the UK where over the course of 2 years, you were upskilled, started off 10 weeks, then it was 6 months, 6 months, 6 months. So this training isn't anything new. The issue, obviously, we have in the OPP is, for those of you who don't know, the size of the province is vast. So when I was in Red Lake, for those of you who are old enough, I put it into MapQuest. MapQuest spat out that it's going to take me 1 day, 1 hour to drive there. It's not a small province. So we don't have the benefit of geography that some of our municipal partners do, which is why we really had to change it a bit so that we bring back everyone for 1 4-week block. So that is one of the, as you very well know, one of the issues that we have in the province.
Inspector, do you see this as a pilot, or do you see this as something that we will continue moving forward when it comes to training?
I think we're going to continue with it. There's too much research across the board, and not just in policing, in any type of professional organization, that this type of ongoing training is far more beneficial for people. We've already trialed it in the field, albeit on a smaller scale, where it's just a week, not 4 weeks. The benefits have been shown in Ottawa, they've been shown in York, they've been shown across North America, they've been shown in Europe. So the reality of it is that we need to move to being a better trained, more professional organization across the board as police officers, and this is one of the ways to achieve that result.
And one of the questions that just popped up, Inspector, is, I'm a 40-year-old looking to apply. Do you think I would have some challenges, I guess, when they report to Academy or when they go through the process? What would you kind of enlighten on that question based on what you've seen?
So every recruit will have challenges. It doesn't matter if you're 20 years old or if you're 40 years old.
That's true. It's
a different world, right? So unless you've been brought up in the world of policing, it is a very different world. So yes, may you as a 40-year-old have different challenges. It depends on what your background is, what your life skills are. We have recruits who are 22 in this class that's down at OPC, and we have recruits who are in their late 30s, early 40s. We have had recruits up to their late 40s. I was actually speaking to one of the recruits who's down at OPC right now. He's in his late 30s. He was at an event I was at over the weekend, and we spoke briefly about how his experiences down at OPC are very different. He's a father. He has kids, right? So his experiences are very different. He's away from his family versus a younger person who doesn't have that challenge in their life. So different people at different stages of their life will have different challenges, but I certainly wouldn't let it put you off being a police officer.
No, well answered. Inspector, a question about the online portion prior to going to OPC. Is it more scheduled, or is it like a live session? How is that done?
It's a mixture of both. It is a mixture of both. But you're still better off keeping that 8 to 4 type schedule all the way through it. Maintain your classes, call in, do the work that's online, and then do the final exam.
Another question here about the academy. When they are reporting here at the academy, what is that like, and what can they expect? Do they stay on academy, or do they stay off academy? What is that like?
Yeah, so we actually have accommodations here on site at O'Grady Hall that are primarily used by the new recruits. So when you do report on site, if we're talking about your very first day, you come here at the time that is given in your joining instructions, and we line everyone out in front of O'Grady Hall, and then the instructors and myself come in and we speak to everyone, we get everyone situated. You'll then be brought through the tunnel, through the famous tunnel, over to headquarters, where we will give you your room key, we'll give you your federal statutes book, your provincial statutes book, the things you're going to need, your syllabus for the next 2 weeks while you're at the academy.
Right.
And then we let you go back over once we've spoken to you. You come back over, you get yourself situated, you meet the people on your floor, you meet the people who you're going to spend the next 6 months of your life with. Following morning, you come over, we feed you, okay? We feed you breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We're not gonna let you go without. So we do feed you breakfast, lunch, and dinner here at the general headquarters. So you don't need to worry about your meals while you're here. Monday to Friday, you have accommodation and you have meals here. When you go down to OPC, it's the same thing down there. You are going to get accommodation. The accommodation hasn't changed in the last 20 years, right, Prash? So you're going to get accommodation. You're going to get your 3 square meals a day. There are certain expectations that we do obviously have of our new recruits. One is that you listen, you pay attention. This is a different world, and you do have to learn it, because ultimately what you do here will affect you later on and could potentially affect other people around you. We expect you to maintain a high level of fitness. Okay, there's no excuse. We have a fully kitted out gym here. There's running trails all over the place. Same thing down at OPC. You go down there, they have a massive cardio room. They have a massive weight room. They have a swimming pool. There's outdoor running areas. Make sure you take advantage of that, because the fitness that you start your career with, we hope that you will carry on and that you'll do your fitness pin every year. So maintain that level of fitness. Pay attention in class. Pass those exams. Join those study groups. There is plenty of help for people all the way through training.
Quick comment here, Inspector. This is a brilliant plan. As an ex-police officer, I would have truly loved to have had this opportunity to go through training the way I guess we're presenting it. So thanks for that comment there. The other question, Inspector, is what are the biggest challenges new constables face in the OPP during their first few years, whether it's training at academy or even when they report to detachment or northern detachment? Anything on that, Inspector? I know you worked in northern detachment, so something you can probably speak to.
Well, yeah, going up north for me was a culture shock. I do have to say, because when people turn around and tell me, "Don't worry, Rowena, it's a dry cold up there. Minus 50 is minus 50, right? It doesn't matter if it's dry or wet. It's cold." But having said that, people are people wherever you go, right? So, but you go up north, yes, there's an isolation issue. So unless you're from those communities, you potentially could have problems with being out of your element, right? Yeah. But within the detachments, you have that detachment support. So inside your detachment, you have that support, and also externally, we have so many resources in place to help those officers who are going up to these communities. Having said that, going up north was probably one of the best experiences of my career, because until you've been driving down an ice road and a herd of a couple of hundred caribou run in front of you, or a lynx disappears over the side, or you're fishing for pickerel and they're basically jumping in the boat, until you've had those experiences, you just can't describe it. Having said that, one of the biggest transitions that people do have a problem with is now you're wearing a uniform. So when you run into issues, people aren't attacking you as a person. And that's one thing you've got to get out of your head. They're going after the uniform. So you've really got to learn not to take things personally. And once people get over that and understand that because of the uniform, you represent the OPP, you're not really as an individual to certain people, then people start to really progress as police officers. Within training, it could be anything. Everyone is different. So some people struggle with the practical skills. Some people who've never held a firearm struggle with the firearm. Other people struggle with the studying. Some people don't struggle at all, and they take to it like a duck to water. So if at any point you are struggling, we have the resources, both here at the PPA, down at OPC and on the road to help you through those moments where you do struggle.
Absolutely. I think that was well articulated, Inspector. A question about the pin test. Do you conduct the pin test at the academy, or is it done at OPC? Where do you think they need to be focused in terms of, that was a question that's being asked, if they're coming to academy, do they need to be ready to do the pin test at academy, or where they get the opportunity to do it?
So the pin test will be conducted down at OPC. We are in talks to start running the pin test here in the pre, but that hasn't been determined yet. But yeah, you'll be given the opportunity to run the pin down at OPC. Having said that, the standard for you to get your basic constable training certificate is the prep test. So the prep test is an obstacle course, and you have to achieve level 7 in the shuttle run. If you cannot achieve level 7 in the shuttle run, then you will not pass and you will not receive your BCT certificate.
No, fair enough. I guess one of the other questions that came in, how are recruits evaluated during their, I guess, time at academy and also during the field when they attend the field training?
So there are a number of areas that you're evaluated on. The first, obviously, being your knowledge, right? So there are a number of knowledge assessments. There's the one, as I said, that's in the online learning, and then there are another 4 exams when you get down to OPC. It is taken as an average. You hit 75%, you've passed your basic constable training certificate. Having said that, we have people who get 96, 97, 98%, sometimes 100% in individual exams. That is one of the first ways of testing you. Then we have police vehicle operations. So you're tested on your driving. You know, are you going to be a safe police driver, or are you going to crash the cruiser? If you're going to crash the cruiser, you're not going to pass police vehicle operations. So that's another way. So make sure your driving is safe, okay? Because you will be tested on that when you go down to OPC.
Yeah.
Then we have your firearms. And the firearms, we're going to, even if you've never touched a firearm before, we are going to teach you how to use this firearm safely and to get the justification and when you pull it out and when you use it. With that, there is a qualification. You have to pass the qualification, get all your rounds on target, and then you will pass firearms. The last one is judgment skills. So your judgment skills are how you perform in scenarios, how you make the decision whether to use force. What level of force do you go to? Are you using the appropriate level of force? Are you communicating with the person? Are you using effective communication, or are you ignoring them? Okay, so that is a judgment skills-based rating, and you have to pass that. That is a pass or fail. It's not a multiple grade. You either reach the grade or you don't reach the grade. If you don't reach the grade in police vehicle operations or in judgment skills or firearms or in the exam, we offer you one more opportunity to get through it when you come back here to the PPA. So those people who get just under 75%, we put them through another exam so that they can hit 75% and pass. And the same with the other areas. We will reassess you back here. We will give you further training. Our job isn't to make people fail. Our job is to make people pass. Okay.
Absolutely.
Having said that, if you're not safe, we won't pass you. Right? So, because we still have a duty, an obligation to the citizens of Ontario. So you'll come back and you'll be giving another opportunity to pass those things. Then when you come back, we have a number of other scenario assessments. But don't forget, all the way through this, you are being monitored for your behavior. Policing isn't just about how you perform in judgment skills. It's not about how you perform on the range. It is also how you perform as a person. So if you display a lack of good judgment in areas outside of training, with other people, the manner in which you speak to people, if it's determined that you have characteristics that we, to be frank, don't want to see in a police officer in our organization, then you will be evaluated on that. We always say there are 2 ways of being kicked out of the program: poor performance and poor behavior. You don't meet those 2 standards, then we will cut you from the program, because we want the best of the best, and we truly do have them in our recruits.
Absolutely. That was well answered, Inspector. I guess a different line of question here. When you look back on your career, do you think you've had a good career to date? What's your thoughts on that?
100%. I've had opportunities that I would not have had anywhere else. I actually joined policing at 18. So I joined at 18, made a decision between policing and the Navy, went the policing route, and I wouldn't change it for anything. There's been ups and downs, there's been struggles, but overall, I would never have experienced the things I did if I hadn't joined this organization.
Absolutely. When it comes to training, and specifically, I guess a question about in your typical career, what does training look like? And maybe if you can talk about ongoing training that police officers get while they're in their early years or even throughout there. Maybe if you can touch on that, Inspector.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of it depends on what you want to do in policing.
Yeah,
so when you're at detachment and you're on the front line, there are a number of courses that frontline officers can do. There's obviously breath technician, drug recognition expert. For that one, we send members down to Jacksonville. We used to send members down to Jacksonville. We're now bringing the training up here. You can do vehicle interdiction. That teaches you what to look for in terms of drug trafficking vehicles, how to stop them, how to get into those vehicles. There's traffic stops that give you an elevated ability as a traffic officer, commercial motor vehicle inspection. Then moving across, we have sex assault investigator. We have child interviewing, criminal investigations, the basic 100 training course, criminal investigations techniques. A lot of those courses are available to our frontline members. And from there, the world truly is your oyster. So if you go into, if you stay on the front line, you can carry on doing these courses. You can carry on developing yourself as a frontline officer. I have many friends who spent 30 years. My coach officer was 32 years as a frontline police constable, my very first one. So you can stay that way your whole career and just keep developing your skills on the front line.
Right.
Or you can go into crime. And in crime, there are many, many courses under the new CSPA. A lot of these courses are now mandated training. So you've got everything from interviewing all the way up to homicide investigator. You go into forensics, you have a multitude of forensic courses. And in fact, I had the opportunity through the OPP to do a bachelor's degree in forensic identification. So these things exist. You go into some of our public order teams, you're going to have lots of training in that. USERT, you're going to have a lot of search and rescue training, a lot of clan lab investigation. There are hundreds of courses in policing. It just depends on which road you take.
I totally agree with you, Inspector. I think depending on what interests you or what you're trying to achieve, I think the opportunity is there. You just have to go and seize it. And I've seen that over and over again in our organization. Another question here, I think it's more recruitment in the sense of, is there any length of time you have to wait to apply once you get your PR status? So no, if you have your PR status, you're eligible to apply. There's no specific timeline that you have to wait to input your application. Okay, so hopefully we'll see your application soon. Another question here about, it's a long one here. Let me just see about your submitted a video submission for the shuttle run for the offender transportation program in early November. And received a phone call notifying me of a scheduled interview for that position. So I would say definitely follow up on your question there. You would have to speak to the hiring manager to see where your application is currently at and whether you were selected for an interview. Okay, so certainly I think that is the route that you should go because the uniform recruitment right now, we don't oversee the offender transport program yet. Okay. Thank you for all the questions, everyone. I'm just trying to scroll through just to make sure I didn't miss any of the questions that you were asking for. And thank you, Inspector. I think some of the information you provided was very, very, I guess, candid and truthful. So that's always helpful for us too. Question for you. What does working with the coach officer look like day to day when they report from academy to the training on the road?
Sorry, so your coach officer is about to become your ride and die, for want of a better word. They are with you until it's determined that you are independent enough to get what we call your day wings first, which is where, where you can go on your own during the daylight hours. And then a number of months later, once it's determined that you are independent enough to work at night on your own, you then get your night wings. So this person, your coach officer, is going to help you to actually complete your training and to become a fully functioning officer. We send you out. You're not quite the raw material. That's what recruitment gives us. We give a better version, a newer model of you, and then it's up to that coach officer. They're going to take you out. They're going to support you. They're going to tell you how to write your notes, how to write your reports, the importance of doing things from beginning to end. And you're going to watch them. You're going to take the best bits of who you see and become the police officer you want to be. So, but they will be with you all the time. Plus, you've got all the other people on your platoon who are going to help you. You've got your supervisor who's going to help you. So it's not just your coach officer. You do have a whole group, a whole family around you who they want you to succeed as well. So they are all going to help you as well.
Well said, Inspector. Another question here. What is the length between offer and going to training? So it's going to vary depending on when you finish the process in terms of the recruitment process, and then when you officially get the job offer. As you know, we hire 4 times a year for our intakes. So it varies depending on when your file comes to the eligibility of the job offer. And then certainly the first available class that we can send you to, that's the one you'll be reporting to. Okay, so it totally depends. I don't have a concrete number of days. It doesn't work that way. Inspector, question for you. In your eyes, how do recruits typically grow from day one to the end of the Part B? What do you see in terms of what you see in their growth overall, maybe from what you've experienced?
Confidence is a huge one. So when they initially turn up, there's a lot of nerves that stand out in front of O'Grady Hall. It's a new world. They don't know each other, but they form bonds when they go down to OPC. They go through challenges together, whether it's through the group fitness that we put people through and working as a team, getting to know each other. By the time they come out of OPC, they've got a level of confidence that they didn't have when they went in. And then we grow that. And we make sure that by the time they leave here, they have an even better confidence. But when you go back out to coach officer, now you're in a new world. You're no longer with your team, with your platoon that you went through OPC with.
Yeah.
So now we're going to build that confidence right back up. But that's the single biggest thing. And with some of our recruits, it's the fact they've done so much physical training, their gun belts don't fit them anymore.
Inspector, another question here. I'm joining the March intake. Could you please share how I should prepare myself to perform better? Are there any books or academic resources I can use in the next few weeks to prepare myself for my training at Academy?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of things that you can look through. We will give you a copy of federal statutes and provincial statutes, but make sure that you start to learn, if you want to do things in advance, your powers of arrest, your detention authorities, that kind of thing. We're going to teach you everything while you're here. There's really nothing majorly in advance that you can prepare for, but the one thing I will say is make sure that you come in with a high level of fitness. That will help you. Oh, and make sure you have a haircut. Okay, so we do have a uniform standard. So make sure that when you turn up on that first day, guys, you got that hair cut up nice, high and tight, no hockey hair. And ladies, make sure that hair is up in a bun and again, high and tight, and that you look the part. So those two things, your fitness and your dress, and turn up in a suit on that first day.
Good advice, Inspector. I guess they want to say thank you for answering everyone's questions. Appreciate the advice. Thank you for that comment. And I'm trying to see if they've missed it. Question, I guess, when you're going through recruit training, Inspector, what supports are available for recruits, whether they're at Academy or even at OPC and even post? Maybe if you can touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're in the pre or the post, when you're here, each platoon is assigned 2 of our instructors, and they will be your main point of contact. If you have an issue, you're going to go to them or to the sergeants. They will answer the phone. They will help you out if you need those things. Outside of that, if you need support, right from the beginning, you have our healthy workplace team, our clinicians, all of that you have access to right off the bat. So whether it is you just want someone to talk to or you actually want to set up, and the one thing we do recommend is that everyone does have a clinician or a therapist, because you do need to make sure that right from the beginning in your career, you have that mental health support all the way through. So we do offer that. When you go down to OPC, we have a team of our own instructors, Staff Sergeant Dupe and his instructor cadre down there. They will be your point of contact for the OPP, and they will be who you go to if you need support or help. But again, we still have all of those other resources that are available to you the second you step through the door here.
Absolutely. And I think I echo the inspector's comments there. Certainly, I think, from even when you hit the road, from our mental health clinicians and the mental health support that we have in the organization, I think as recruits and even as officers on the front line, you'll see that being a huge part of the organization. Question here, I guess this is more of a recruitment question. I was asked to submit my shuttle run filmed. I filmed it on camera and it's split into 2 files. assuming I put the videos back together as one file, could I submit it? So I would say definitely try and see if you can put that in, because it needs to be one file. It can't be split into two. Put that back together and submit it. And if we can assess it, or if there is any glitch, we will usually come back and let you know that you need to resubmit it. So I would say do the best you can to put it back together, and let us have a chance to review it, and then certainly we'll get back to you. Okay. Inspector, I guess a question for you. How do recruits stay engaged and accountable during the 3 weeks of online e-learning?
Oh, well, you have to complete the modules. Okay, so you do have to complete the modules. You have to tune into the mandatory classes. It's for anyone who's gone through COVID and had an engaged school or college or university, it's very similar, right? It's not a case of, oh, I'm just going to play this in the background and hope for the best. You do have to answer the questions as they come up, do the group work, make sure you do the exam and all the testing as you go through. So yeah, it's not just sit at home and put your feet up and eat Doritos on the couch.
No, that's well said, Inspector. Maybe you can elaborate on this a little bit in terms of what you've seen from the most challenging components of not only the 10-week at BCT, but at the academy portion when you come back. What do you see as where people find challenging, or the recruits are finding challenging?
The problem is it's across the board, right? So what one recruit might find challenging, another won't. So the biggest issues we sometimes see are in judgment and officer safety, because it's different, right? If you've never been in a fight, if you've never been in the military or been in an organization where you do have conflict, this is where a number of people struggle. So do learn, make sure, if you know you're going to be that type of person, learn the concepts, learn how to talk to people, manage your responses, because you know you better than I know you. So if you know that you panic in certain situations, you have to work on that. So that's one of the biggest challenges that we see that people have in terms of the actual training itself, is how they react to those scenarios. Everything else is teachable, whether it's passing the exams, reading the books, learning how to shoot a gun, we can teach you that. When it comes to your own judgment skills, that is something that you really have to develop yourself. We will help you. We will get you there. But if you know that that is an area you're going to be struggling in, that is something you should work on right now.
Absolutely. A question, I guess more of a recruitment question. How should I be sitting in front of the camera doing the interview? So we will send you a package, an interview package, when you're selected for the interview. And we actually show you in that package how you should be seated, how you should look, and what sort of dress and deportment that we expect. So once you get that invitation, if you have any questions, certainly reach out to us. But again, we will cover that off when you get that package. Okay. Another question here. Common interview mistakes applicants make. I can probably go on in that tangent a lot in terms of what I see from some of the candidates provide. So one, not having your paperwork ready. So we do ask that you submit 48 hours in advance all the paperwork in preparation for your interview. So make sure that's submitted and it's properly filled out. What I also see is the information in the documents are not properly filled out, or there's things missing in that document. So please, when you get your personal history form or the pre-background questionnaire, make sure you take the time to answer every single question and all the details that we ask for. So that's one of the biggest things that I see when it comes to the candidates in preparation for the interview. Inspector, for you, maybe you can answer this. In terms of prepping for fitness at OPC, I know you've talked about it in length in our call here. What kind of fitness training do you think is better, or that candidates should practice in getting them prepared before they attend?
Well, you've got the, if you want to just do the bare minimum, which I really don't suggest you do, you need to work on your shuttle run.
Yeah.
Hands down, it's both a technique and it's almost a fear-based test, if you want. What a lot of people struggle with is getting through a mental blockade with the shuttle run. So work on that. Work on getting past that. I can't get past level 6.5. The minimum is 7. Get 8. Get 8.5, right? Because then you don't have that mental barrier. In addition to this, you need to be doing strength training. Prep test is about strength. You're doing a very short obstacle course, but you're going up and down steps. You're going over a wall. you're having to simulate handcuffing someone, you're having to do a dummy drag. So if you don't have that strength in your legs and your upper body, you're not going to pass that either. So what we don't want to see is someone who just concentrates on running, or someone who just concentrates on the gym. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for the complete package. So do both. And whether that's you grab some sandbags and you drag them around your living room, or you just practice the shuttle run whilst doing strength training in the gym, make sure you do that. Work on your explosive strength as well.
I think that's absolutely
and your
right.
burpee technique. I've seen
and I
some
guess
very
building off of
interesting
that,
burpee techniques whilst running PT classes here.
In fact, the other question is in terms of continuous, I guess, education or learning while recruits in the training phase. But what happens when they come out of it? Do they even have time to do any of that, or are they really like bogged down with so much training and things that they have on their plate in terms of continuous
So
learning?
if you want to do it, you can both do it within the organization. Like we offer training as you go along. And yes, you can do it if you're doing continuous education. Yes, you can do it. I did a bachelor's degree in 2.5 years whilst working full-time as a forensics officer and having 2 small children. So you can do it. You just got to balance it. Would I want to start a degree program while I'm learning how to be a police officer? Probably not. You're going to have a lot going on your plate. There's a lot of information coming in. You've really got to process that and learn how to be a good police officer before you really start doing anything else.
I guess a question from Miriam here. How do I know if I'm the right fit for this career?
Well, I mean, that's really a question that only you can answer. But what a lot of it comes down to is if you have a strong desire to help people, if you have a strong idea of what's right and wrong, and that you want to change people's lives, then you're probably good for a career in policing. There may be areas you have to work on, whether it's firearms, whether it's fitness, but if you have those basic areas, that's what we need to see in a police officer.
No, absolutely. And I think exactly what the inspector said, Miriam. I think these are some of the questions you probably have to ask yourself. But you know what? Come to our information session. We have a lot of information sessions in person. We have a lot of fitness sessions where you can come and engage with recruiters and kind of understand. And also, you know, if you go to your local detachment and speak to an officer, and some of the detachments, you know, they would be open to, you know, sharing an officer with you where they can talk to you about their experience with some of the new officers to give you an understanding what the policing career is all about. And then obviously, you know, just go through the process, see how you do. And I think that would be a good way or an indicator for you also. Thank you for all the questions, everyone. I'm just going to try to scroll here, just make sure I didn't miss any of the ones that recently came in. I understand that before submitting my application, I need to complete a 2-week fitness log. However, during the application process, do I still need to continue filling the fitness log and submitting? Yes, you do. So while you're in the whole hiring process from start to finish, you have to track your fitness and you have to submit it. And we will send you notice on what it is after the first 2 weeks. So for the application submission, initially, you're required to submit the 2 weeks. And then after that, we require monthly. But again, we will send you all the details of it. But to answer your question, yes, you have to track your fitness throughout the whole hiring process. Okay. How long does it take to hear back after your application submission? Depends on how many applications we're processing. Sometimes it could be a week. Sometimes it could be a couple of weeks, depending on how many people have applied within that period. So if you have submitted your application, I just ask you to be pack a little patience because you will hear back from us. Okay, so that's one advice. If you haven't heard back, please email us, and certainly we'll make sure that it is addressed. Inspector, maybe this is something you can talk about. What is your advice on talking about past mistakes that you have made in prepping for this career or disclosing in terms of the application?
Be honest. Because if you're not honest, we're going to find out. And a huge part of our job is our honesty and our integrity. So if off the bat you're trying to hide something, then you're not going to be suitable for this career. Everyone makes mistakes. Okay, no one's perfect. So own up to them. Those mistakes might make you eligible, right? You might not be able to join the job. However, if you hide it, it will definitely make you ineligible to join the job. So tell the truth, own up to the mistake, because otherwise we're going to find out about it anyway.
Yeah, I agree with that. Are there any educational programs within the service which can help an individual later in life as they leave the career.
Well, there are plenty of people who've taken what they've learned in the organization and either started private enterprises of themselves, or they've then gone on and joined, whether it's the Ontario Police College as an instructor afterwards, gone into the private sector, worked, head of security for various small chains. There's plenty of people who've been hired with Special Investigations Unit, whether it's as forensic officers or as investigators. There are lots of opportunities once you leave this career at various levels because of the skill set that you bring to the table.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Question from Natalie here. Are we hiring for civilian positions? Yes, we are. Certainly, we're focusing on the uniform capacity today in our talk. But certainly, if you're interested in applying for civilian opportunities available with us, please go on to the Ontario Public Service website or gojobs.on.ca, and there you'll see all the civilian positions that are available. And certainly go on to OPP.ca/careers, where we have all the other civilian jobs that are available for you to apply to. Okay, so hopefully that is something you can use as a starting point. The other question I have, do you need the OACP certificate to apply to the OPP? No, you don't require the OACP to submit your application to us. All you need to do is go to OPP.ca/careers and sign up for a portal, and then you would start filling out the application and inputting the information that we require. We don't take paper applications anymore, so you would have to go through the online portal system to submit the application, and then certainly we'll get back to you once we receive that. Okay. About 10 minutes to go, Inspector, so thank you. Hopefully you didn't feel like that went as slowly or fast, but about 10 minutes to go, so I'm going to try to get a few final questions in here. Inspector, I'm not sure if we can touch on this a little bit. How does the lateral hiring work for experienced officers and when they come into the training portion at Academy?
So with the training portion, we run a 4-week program. There was talk of extending it, but we did manage to get it to remain within the 4 weeks. So you come and you're already a police officer. There is no longer another probationary period when you come as an EPO. I'm an EPO myself. And you come in, you are without your badge for the first 4 weeks, which is very unusual for someone who's ever held a badge. But we put you through all the basic training requirements that you'd have gone through in your own service. So you'll be going through pistol, you'll be going through the C8 carbine, you'll be doing use of force, the same things that you're used to. And then we're going to be training you on the computer systems that we use. So our computer system may be different to the one your organization uses. Don't worry, we will put you through the training. We'll put you through radio training. All of that gets done here before you go out on the road. And then you also have a graduation at the end of it. So you do have a graduation in front of our commissioner where you do receive your badge in a formal ceremony. But it is nowhere near as arduous as what the new recruits go through.
If you're successful in the process, are you able to be placed in the fall or winter class at the end of the year, or are you required to attend the first soonest intake? So it'll be the first eligible intake. So if you're eligible for a job offer, usually our coordinator will call you with the first available intake. And obviously you'll know which detachment you're going to be posted at, and we'll offer you that. And you'll have a chance to digest it, think about it, and see if, obviously you're happy with that situation. Obviously, if there are any personal reasons or other family reasons as to why, certainly we'll deal with it on a case-by-case basis to deal with that situation. But you getting back to it, certainly the first available intake is what we will offer you. Okay. Just a few more questions that I missed. I think there's one. I'm currently a volunteer fireman. If I were to be hired and reported to a scene, that if they were to, I guess, need a fireman to pull casualties out of vehicles, would I be able to switch uniforms to help? I don't understand the question there, Kyle. I think maybe you need to rephrase that. But I'm going to say no. Probably you cannot. Inspector, as we wrap up here, just some few final thoughts in terms of, any sort of advice that you would give for obviously the intakes that are upcoming. We're at the start of the year, so there's a few intakes that are coming up that we're looking to fill. Some encouraging words for potential applicants that are in the process right now or looking to apply in terms of what they can expect.
Now's the best time, better than at any point in the last 25 years, to become a police officer. a lot of the obstacles that previously existed, whether it was when I went through, it was 5,500. And I think now what it was at 17,000 to go through. Those obstacles have now been removed. We are hiring more than ever. We have members retiring. We're increasing the amount of police officers that we have in the province. The opportunities that are available to people at 5-6 years on, which historically didn't exist till 10 to 15 years on, are blowing me out of the water. We have people getting promoted. We've got people going to specialist units at an earlier and earlier stage. If you have ever wanted to try policing, now's the time. However, having said that, it's still not an easy ride. You still have to put in the work. You have to work both on yourself, on your fitness, everything. Become that package that we want to see, because although we're hiring more than ever, Sergeant, you'll confirm this, we are having more and more people applying. So your pool of candidates is a lot bigger than it used to be. So although it's the best time to come in, you still have to bring your A game. You have to bring us the best product, and we will hire you. But now's the time to do it.
Absolutely. Well said, Inspector. And yeah, I'll just echo that. Certainly, I think last year we saw a really, in terms of the amount of applications we received, it was a really, really huge number for us, which is something very promising, and obviously we're very proud of. But certainly moving on to 2026, certainly we want to build on that. And just recapping, some of the things that come in terms of the training portion that's changing for the OPP. You have the pre-OPC, which is the 8 days, which is similar to what we did. Then you have the 13 weeks of Ontario Police College training, which the first 3 weeks will be virtual. And then certainly the post training for us will be 6 weeks where you report to the academy. And then you have 13 weeks of field training. And then you'll return as a recruit again for 4 weeks of post training for Part B. So again, we look forward to seeing all the recruits that are engaging in this training phase, which is a huge change for us, as the inspector touched on. But I expect that it'll be nothing but positive in terms of how we see our recruits excel. So in saying that, Inspector, again, thank you so much for taking the time to be with me today and answer some of the questions that everyone was asking about. And hopefully, I'm sure many of our recruits will have a chance to see you when they report to Academy for training over the next few intakes. And certainly for all the questions that everybody posted, thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing most of you at our next session in a couple of weeks. All right. So take care, everybody. Have a great Wednesday. And thank you again, Inspector.